Hello and welcome, it's Dragana from Saacibo. I'm here with another journal flip through. I hope you like it. Let's begin. First of all, as I always do, I made a little drawstring bag for the journal. If anyone's wondering, I'm actually making these drawstring bags from remnants of curtains. Some shops have, like once they sell most of it, they will have a few pieces left over that they can't really sell for curtains, and it's a shame to be wasted or thrown away. I usually buy those things, so I'm given. So it makes a really nice, like a gift bag as well. Like they're reusable, they can be used for other things, and they're really easy to make as well. Alright, I try to match the color scheme. So because this journal is kind of like in blue and green, beigey tones, I thought this bag would really be perfect for it. Alright, now the journal. It's a really cute one. Let's see the measurements. It's about 12 and a half centimeters by 18 centimeters. That's about 5 inches, 5 by 7 inches, and the spine is a little bit less than 1.5 inches, or 3.5 centimeters. I've created the cover earlier and I had it sitting in my studio waiting to see if I'm going to be inspired to do the insides, and I was. So I constructed the insides really quickly because I was really inspired and I had everything that I needed, and it turned out really nice. So for the closure I just used this ribbon that's in two tones, like green and blue, and I made it into like a double bow. So I don't want to ruin it now because it took me a while to actually make it right, so I'm just sliding it off. Okay, I used this light denim fabric for the cover. The outside I added strips of other fabrics, like some really light cotton that I stitched on top, and some green lace and some of that ribbon. I also used this is like yarn that's been like in blue and green colors, and some fibers. I also stitched that to the cover, and then I glued these little lace flowers. I think they're really cute. Over here I crocheted some of these. Crochet this one and that one, and this is from another crochet piece that I cut off, and I cut this fabric in a leaf shape. I think I used die cut. Yep, die cut. And the color scheme is like kind of like turquoise blue with a bit of green, but blue and greys and browns. It's really nice, kind of like summery, botanical feel. I don't know, it's a really nice color combination. I like it. So, and the back is really nice as well. Like I said, 3 signatures, and let's see what's inside. For the inside of the cover I used one of my digital papers, and the way I created this digital paper is I used to collect stamps, and I picked the stamps with floral or like nature, and I arranged them like a little collage. I made a little collage out of them, and then I scanned it in. So it's still, it is stamps, but it's like flowers and animals and birds. I think it's the same on this side as well. Some little doggies, butterflies and birds. Yep. Alright. I didn't put any pockets or anything on the covers. There's plenty of them inside, as you can see. Okay, the front page, I made a little like belly band with the ruffled silk. This came from a shirt that I tea dyed, and it's really nice to the touch. And I put one of my handmade charms, and I just glued some beads, like pearly beads, and that's like a tag that comes from my digital kit, and this is from another digital kit called Herbal Collection. It can be written on. Okay. I used tea-stained copy paper or actual like old papers from notebooks and notepads and from music books and things like that. So over here we have a hidden paper clip. So I decorated both sides, so it's basically can be used anywhere in the book, like that. You can tuck things under on this side or on that side. And here we have some writing space. Over here just a piece of thin cotton fabric, some stitched, and I put a little flower there. And on this side again we have some lace and a couple of pockets. Included there are my herbal cards and a flower tag with a little cluster, a bit of stenciling there. Now this thing here, I actually printed this butterfly on an old book page. It looks like it's been always there. And I just glued top and bottom to make like a belly band. This is also like printed this image onto this book page. It comes from a garden book, which is not in English, it's in Bosnian, but it's still about gardening. And then we have more writing space here, and we come to these I used junk mail envelopes, or security envelopes, or what they call the ones that have this window. And what I did, I opened it on 3 sides and I folded the bottom on the other side. I rounded the corner here, so this serves as a pocket. Just put some stenciling, and where the writing was I just glued this ruffled piece. And on the other side I used another sheet of A4 sheet of tea stained paper that I tucked underneath this to create pockets. On this side I actually glued it down, and what was left I flipped over to create another side pocket here. And this is the back of that envelope. So to create this little like folder, I used one envelope and one sheet of A4 paper. This is stenciling here, and I put some fabric clusters, and it turned out really nice. So I made these with my actually rose petals from my garden, and another herbal card, but this is not a herbal actually. It's not in the digital kit, it's what I've created for another journal, but I ended up using it in the rest of the journals. And it's a flower that's actually it grows only in the region where I live in. It's a type of a lily. Here we have another one of those cards, and some writing space. I felt bad cutting off that lovely edge of the tea stained paper, so I just folded it in and I stenciled on top. But you know, you can extend and write notes there. So I don't like wasting anything unless I have to. Few of my herbal cards. This is rosemary, and another flower tag. Can be written on top. I've stitched around it some lace, cotton, and more writing space. It's the actual music sheet. Things can still be written or glued on top. Okay, here. What do we have here? Okay, one of those clips with a charm and a bit of fabric, and this tag I made. Yes, I actually glued the fabric onto a piece of card, or was it like a file folder, I think, and then I put it through the embossing through the big shot, and I stitched around, and I used some ink to distress it. It turned out really cute, and just a little bow here, and I thought it would just be attached like that. This is a stamp that I bought quite a few years ago when I was visiting my brother in Australia. Forgot about it, and the other day I pulled it out and I realized it's a really good one. So I stamped it. Now here, what we have here is like a tea stained doily, and a real doily, and a lace flower. I thought it looked pretty. Another journaling card that I stitched around, backed with some old file folders. And here we have a flower charm. I put it the wrong way up. Just go like this. More writing space. Tag. The key. Some lace. Some stenciling. More lace. More writing space. And here we come to another one of those envelope pockets, constructed the same way as the other one. One envelope, cut open on 3 sides, and a piece of A4 sheet of A4 paper. So, pocket here. This is also a page from that gardening book, and I simply printed this image on top of it. I find that it looks really nice when you print old book pages. And a bit of lace here, flowers, some stenciling, And here we created 2 pockets for those herbal cards and for one of those dry flowers from my garden. Some fabric snippets and some stenciling here. This is a pocket. This is the back of that envelope that I stenciled on. Created a pocket here, and I actually printed this image onto my own handmade paper, and I just roughly cut off the edges and stained it a little bit. Looks really nice. Goes well with this theme. More writing space, then some more ribbons, lace, another tag, can be written on back, more paper, stained paper, or maybe it was onion skin, not sure, a stamp. Okay, here we have again, I printed this butterfly onto a book page. There was an empty, sometimes like with the pages, like for instance here, writing finishes off and then you have this blank space, and I basically printed on top of these pages. Look how old this book is. This is like natural yellowing, and I just printed off that rose, so I'll probably use just that portion somewhere. I've done quite a few, and I found this book at the flea market. Just like $1 or something. That's a handmade paper. I'm going to include some there. More writing space, music sheets, and here we have another pocket and a tag. Again, can be written at the back. A little cluster with a butterfly, some lace, some ribbon. That material is the same material I used for the cover. So whatever I use for the cover, and if there's leftover fabrics, I like to use some of it inside of the journal just to get like to connect it all, have it all like seem to be one whole. Here I created this belly band with some of that book page that I printed on, and added a little fabric cluster, and that is one of my handmade papers. More writing space. I really like how that paper turned out. When it was drying, I actually took it outside to my balcony, and because it was a windy day, I had some old tiles that were there, and I placed a tile to hold it in place, but as it dried it just sort of was left with the shape of that tile. Still looks nice, I think. Happy accidents. And again, there's another one of those envelope pockets. So I basically created one for every signature, and I placed it in the middle. This is just some pretty paper. Can be made into a card or something. And here on the window I just put a little sticker. And again, this envelope was decorated with some stenciling. I put a little ribbon, ruffled ribbon there, and one of my yo-yo flowers. So there's the pocket. There's 2 other pockets again with some stenciling, snippets, and 2 of my flower cards. I think these are in my Dream Diary collection. These are actually from my garden, with just some grass that I dried and laminated. And over here we have another one of those handmade papers, and I stamped an image there. This is stencil flowers. Okay, here we have more of that pretty paper. It's just folded stamp of a feather and a little charm, tree charm, and more of those herbal cards. This was here, I suppose. More stitching, another pocket. This is like that certificate of authenticity. Put it somewhere else. Herbal card and a little notepad that I created with offcuts. It's got a bit of a bling glitter. Can be here. More writing space. And we come to the end. So that's my little journal. I really enjoyed making this one. Turned out really cute, and I love flowers, I love plants, I love herbs, and I guess it's kind of, when it's something you really like or enjoy, it's much easier to make a journal about that, you know. If it's something that's close to your heart, I suppose you just enjoy it more. And that will be it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.